नमस्कार दोस्तों, आपका स्वागत है इंटरव्यू टिप सीरीज के नए वीडियो में, जहां हम एचआर और इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट से उनकी जर्नी और स्पेशलाइज फील्ड के बारे में करियर गाइडेंस और इंटरव्यू टिप्स लेते हैं। मैं हूं कुंवर वैभव सिंह, फाउंडर ऑफ TrueCV, और आज हमारे साथ हैं सीजन्ड एचआर प्रोफेशनल विद ओवर 12 years ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस across various HR, BP and talent acquisition role, currently working as DGM Strategic HR at Space World Group. So please welcome Mr. Ankit Tuli. Thank you so much अंकित जी, टाइम देने के लिए और यहाँ पे आने के लिए और हमसे बात करने के लिए। मैं आशा करता हूँ कि आज दर्शकों को बहुत कुछ नया सीखने को मिलेगा and I am also looking forward for this.
I think pressure is all mine. Thank you for having me over here. I didn't expect it in a short span of time we'll meet and I'll be getting an opportunity to, to be in something like this as a space. So thanks to you for having me over here. And obviously with learnings and everything, what we always say with the HRs that, it's always a knowledge sharing things that what we keep on doing wherever we meet. So it's good to have, be in such a platform where I can, share something of my learnings.
थैंक यू सर। बिफोर वी स्टार्ट, थोड़ा सा अपनी जर्नी के बारे में व्यूअर्स को बताइए। हाउ यू स्टार्टेड, व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड, योर द रोल्स दैट यू हैव टेकन ऑन द वे एंड व्हाट यू आर हैंडलिंग राइट नाउ।
How I started is actually a very funny journey because when I started my career with the HR, it was just happened to be. So if somebody comes and talks to me and बोलता है कि यार how did you happen to be in HR? Something that you have done a certification or course or something. By the time I got into HR, I didn't have any degree in HR, to be honest. And when I started with a very small recruitment company. And उसमें भी at that point of time, जब अखबार में इश्तेहार निकलते थे कि यार जॉब चलती है तो चलो, तो मैं मेरे दोस्त चले जाते थे यार after just doing graduation, we don't know what to do, right? So I went there, I was in a queue and somebody picked me up from a queue and then he introduced me to the managing director. He said, I want to have this guy. So that's how I got into my first company, like by chance. And I did not know what to do. So I started, they asked me to work on this specific accounts. I was working for Nokia as an account. Okay. I used to source for them. I did a lot of blunders. I used to source the people from the Nokia, working on Nokia and pitching them now that you will be working on the roles of Nokia now. So a lot of blunders I made, and but then I learned. I worked there for a very brief time. But I thought, I want to clear the blunders and I want to do something which is very substantial. Let's do it. Let's try this thing. Then I got into another recruitment firm. I worked there for 6 months. I did not know what journey to go. So I thought, I'll move and go ahead and do some other thing. But then I got a call from a proper corporate setup, Future Group. And I remember September 30th, 2009 to 10, I joined that company. So because I joined this company, because I was surprised that they could shortlist me or not. So they opened one of their verticals in the Future Human Development Limited. The TA who was leading, she flew down from Mumbai. She hired me, and then I never looked back. Then I started my journey. I had a 4.5 years of stint with Future Group. I did a lot of roles. I was assisting Chief People Officer at one point of time. I was doing all the back-end jobs at one point of time. I was also at the front side of the HR, at the store level at one point of time. So my base of HR was created from there, from retail and from Future Group, of course. I met people who being a mentor to me, they taught me a lot of things. I moved my journey again to a retail segment with the Landmark Group. I did the same job, but it was for a larger workforce with a spread across, regions. And but my retail journey was lasted for 6.5 or 7 years. And I thought, I should be doing something else now because I thought, being in specific industry, you keep on not being able to do a lot of justice to your role because, you keep on doing the same things over and over again. You're hiring people with the same skill set, you're training on the same content, right? And you're meeting the same people. So there's no lot of learning and a lot of knowledge sharing was happening. So then I got luckily, I got in touch with this lady who helped me in terms of, referring for a job in the media. And I got into Radio City, Jargon Group. It was huge and media was something new to me. And having spent 6.5 years into a retail and into different roles, I don't know what it has to offer to me. And then I became an HR BP over there. I starting taking care of the lot of things which is into stakeholder management, which is for the product team and the sales team. Two specific verticals I was taking care for the all over. I mean, for the upcountry and for the east markets. It was a very different role because the kind of population I was dealing with retail, it's mix of blue collar and white collar. Over here it was white collar, and these people are creative. These people have a very different background and different way of functioning altogether. So it was a cultural shock to me at first, and then the role was something very different because it involved stakeholder management. My previous roles were not that. So this journey has been, from switching from retail to media was one of the, I can say, a turning point in my career, because it made me learn a lot of new things which I may not have been, able to, if in case I would have still stuck into, retail. But then HRBP's role was very demanding. Being aligned to the business goals, vision is not that easy. And then how you're going to align yourself in terms of whatever activities you're doing for the HR, and how you're going to ensure that the business remains productive from the HR point of view. That was a journey I had it. My journey of again 3.5 years around with the Radio City was there, which was came with a lot of learnings. And from there I moved on to Z Media. Again, I've been a sales HR, for a long time. So I got a sales HR for digital and linear, and I did it for the pan India. Along with that, many client acquisition has been a parallel role to me. Always been in the background. At the same point of time, I learned a lot of things which I, started from the organization development point of view to talent management point of view, and a lot of other activities I took over from the employer branding perspective as well. So this journey again with the media, it was 6.5, 7 years of kind of a journey, right? Then I thought, let's move on to another industry now. So in the meanwhile, I worked with the agency as well for a small amount of time. But then after that, I switched on to a B2B platform. So B2C, I was completely, it's a fast-paced and ever-evolving and very dynamic. On the other hand, B2B is very subtle, small, and running at their own pace, right? Correct. So B2B gives you a lot of space to breathe in terms of what you want to experiment, what you want to do, and how you can, cultivate your own skills and bring it to the table in the best way. Because with the B2C, you don't have a breather. What is the requirement of the business, you have to bring on the table in the least span of time. With the B2B, you can have a lot of time to experiment. So I guess 14 years of journey has been like this for me. Changing roles, switching companies, switching industries. But yes, very wide and very vast experience. And with the cost base, been with the top leaders in the industry, and they have helped me to grow as a professional.
Awesome, sir. Sounds great, and all the best for your future journey.
Let's see.
Tell us a bit about your current role and your current organization.
So with the Space World Group, it's a B2B setup, and we have multiple businesses running under the umbrella of a Space World Group. We are actually an organization which is part of a telecom as an industry, and digital infrastructure is one of our core businesses. So out of 4 entities, what we have, 2 entities are dealing into optical fiber. We do optical fiber. We cater to the clients at different levels. We also into cloud services. Right, we connect servers to servers, data centers to data centers. We do a lot of things. Optical fiber is one of the not very niche business, but it's something which is being least touched upon as on date. We also into polythene, which is being used to make as a shoe sole, right? And we are trying to make it a more sustainable in future, because shoe sole is, if you know that it is not a kind of a thing which can be decayed in a soil. So we are trying to make it more sustainable, which is going to meet the future requirements, right? And also we are into sheet metal fabrication business, which is again part of digital infrastructure. When we support all the telecom providers, where they want to have a sheet metal, anything which is made from sheet metal used in their telecom towers, we help them to do that. So these companies have a majority of the business which is dealing into digital infrastructure, which is used by the telecom operators. And my journey here being 1 year so far, it's being 1 year I'm joined. My core responsibilities have been into, so B2B, we understand that we don't need a lot of limelight, right? Because we are not operating into that space. But we also need to be at the same point of time, need to be at the top of our game. For that, we need to have a lot of, highlight in terms of what we are doing, how we are doing. And we wanted to attract a top talent. People should know about what we are doing and all that. So my core job for what I was hired for is to ensure that I have a, employer branding map ahead. Achha. What we're going to do, from the branding perspective, how we're going to make it the Space World Group as a brand huge. for the potential, for the potential candidates and for the market and for this industry per se. So I work closely with the marketing team to ensure that what kind of set of things what we can develop over the period of time, when we have a consistent image, for the prospective, you can say candidates or maybe the the customers for that matter, right? And we do that in lot many things, and at the same point of time, I'm also responsible for strategic initiatives, which is about the talent management. We do develop a lot of content. So with again B2B is something very close knitted industry. We ensure that whatever content what we're developing as per the which is related to more on the people function for the behavioral things. We also touch the aspects on the content which is more technical, but then it becomes a part of a external trainer how we can accommodate that person into a training. But majority of the trainings what we're running for the people in terms of talent development, we do in-house. So since if these companies are 1.5, 2 years or 3 years old only, so we'll be working on a pipeline that how we can create a spectrum of the individual development plans, how we can introduce something like a succession planning. We were also thinking to do something on the reverse mentoring as well. But I guess we are not too mature as of now to do that. But yes, going ahead, that is what the plan is. So that is my second part of the role. The third part of the role is about the what kind of strategic initiatives what we can do in terms of helping a business to be more productive with the help of people. So we started doing small initiatives which is for the employees in terms of ensuring that they have a, for example, work-life balance. We have started because ensuring something like this is all about doing the employee value proposition. We start to picking up the things which are the pain areas of the company. We started to run a lot of surveys to understand what are the vibes of the company, right? What are the vibe of the employees who are working with us. So that small things have given a lot of insights that what we are doing, what we are not doing, where we are lacking, where we are not lacking, and all the gray zone areas is something we want to pick it up and since these are the not very old organizations, but we wanted to cover up all those potholes for now, so we can build up a base, a strong foundation, and when we can coming ahead, the pillars will be standing on on this base of a strong foundation, and we will be having an organization which will be as proud as any other organization which is working top shot in the B2B platforms. So this is the part of my core goals what I've been taking care.
Wow, so you have a lot on your plate.
No, it just feels like one.
So आपने दो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज बोली जब मैं आपको सुन रहा था, जिसमें से एक मैं थोड़ा सा और समझना चाहूंगा। जो दो वर्ड थे, पहला तो एम्प्लॉयर ब्रांडिंग और दूसरा वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस, इन दोनों के ऊपर बात करेंगे। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद फर्स्ट, आई वुड लाइक टू अंडरस्टैंड, और हो सकता है व्यूअर्स में से बहुत सारे लोगों को पता ना हो कि एम्प्लॉयर ब्रांडिंग क्या होती है। तो पहले तो हमें बताइए कि व्हाट इज एम्प्लॉयर ब्रांडिंग एंड कैसे की जाती है एम्प्लॉयर ब्रांडिंग।
सी आज से शायद कुछ साल पहले या बहुत साल पहले एम्प्लॉयर ब्रांडिंग वाज नॉट समथिंग, वाज अ पॉइंट ऑफ अ डिस्कशन, राइट? आई थिंक जब से एचआर वर्टिकल्स हैव स्टार्टेड ग्रोइंग अप, as per the basis of requirement of the business, the HR has come up with a terminology called employer branding. I think employer branding is no more part of a marketing team for that matter. I think they have let open the doors for the HRs to explore that how we can brand ourselves with the help of external parties, or probably the potential candidates what we have, or maybe the external agencies for that matter, right? So employer branding, in a nutshell, is something which is being initiated from inside. We can have it defined internally and external initiatives. Internal initiatives could be something from we wanted to ensure that, for example, that our brand remains on the top of the mind of the people, at least starting from our own people, right? How we can make sure that the space world is always on the top of the mind, for our own people. So whenever they go and talk to any other their fellow colleagues or their ex-colleagues from the industry or from their previous organization, start talking about our company, what we are building about that. Then employee value proposition is something we practice daily. How we are differentiating ourselves from the other competition in the market. It is something what we wanted to bring it as a practice and preach it. So as I said that work-life balance is something what we try to achieve it as an initiative, because since these are the startups what we're dealing with, it's very difficult to have that harmony among the employees to have the work-life balance. It can be only achieved with the leadership. So that is one of the key things. I mean, having a competitive salary is not a big deal. You need to be, as per the compliant when it comes to the salary benchmarking among the competition. But what the value proposition, what we are bringing, which is marking us as a differentiator from the competition. I mean, I would say that giving something like as small as insurance or the medical or something, and these are very basic things now, and any employee or candidate would expect before joining the organization. But what experiential thing that you're offering on the top of it is something they would buy the value for. So I feel that especially in a B2B platform where the people don't come only for salaries, or rather for any companies for that matter, people don't only join for salaries, they may also see what kind of rewards we have in place. Maybe I have a very robust reward and recognition system, and I have a different way of recognizing employees. Maybe they would want to be the part of it. Maybe I'm offering something in terms of perks which they are not doing. As small as something which I was, talking to one of my colleagues. He told me that they give Amazon birthday gift cards to employees. Something very unique, and not very unique now, but something which we have not done. Maybe 1,000 rupees of voucher we can start doing it, right? So something what makes us differentiate from the other brands is something what we practice into employer branding, and hence we are trying to pace up with the best practices of the industries as well. And there are a lot many things which can come. The lot of branding initiatives is not basically what we see is what we become as a brand. I think what we practice and what we preach is become as a brand. So when I say that for my company Spacehold Group need to be on the top of the mind of my employees, I think I need to do some initiatives which are going to make them that it means, and those are all culturally driven initiatives, right? So once I have these people talking about our brand, and then they're talking to the people, then actually I'm creating a brand ambassadors in the team. So these people are becoming my brand ambassadors, and wherever we are going, they're talking about us. So idea is to have the brand ambassadors created within the team. They will help us to attract a top talent. They will be getting retained as well. So I think that's the magic what we're trying to create.
बिल्कुल. So thank you so much for explaining the employer branding और आप क्या करते हैं employer branding के लिए. And I think it is very important to attract the top talent, best talent, and to stay in the game. Surprisingly, people say that opportunities नहीं है इंडिया में, job नहीं है, but मुझे लगता है कि जब से it's been almost 2 decades for me, 10 years in corporate, 10 years into this HR business and consulting, we have always seen that there is a war for the best talent.
That's true.
And that's why employer branding is very, very important. So coming to our next point जो हमने discuss किया था कि हम बात करेंगे, आपने ENY का अभी news recently सुना होगा of work-life balance. So what is your view on work-life balance? What do you feel that work-life balance is?
I think anything which makes me able to manage the work along with my personal time is as simple as we understand what a work-life balance is, right? Now, as easy it may sound, but not very easy to achieve when especially you're working with companies which are always on a war footing zone. So probably the enablers are the top management, or maybe let's say managers are the enablers. I mean, we definitely understand being in the market is not an easy job, and being in the top 5, let's say top 3 is not an easy job. And to be in the top game, we need to have a best people, and the best people need to work hard, right? At the same point of time, it is very important to make sure that people don't burn out, because burning out people means that you are actually leaving an image of your brand among the employees that it's very exhaustive to work here, right? So inculcating a habit in our culture of work-life balance is very important, right? And I think that's a top-to-down approach, right? People who are at the top they are being able to enable it down the line. The teams, I think we can have a ripple effects with the team. And the people who are the major responsible for ensuring that we have a work-life balance is our managers, right? I mean, I can understand there have been situations which becomes very tough. The workload comes in the last minute. People can be working on weekends as well. But any small initiatives which turns out to be the part of the empathy, it is a great gesture to give to the employee. For example, if I'm working on weekends, my company requires me. Of course, I need to, I need to be there. But at the same point of time, if I'm being compensated with a comp off, which comes unannounced from my manager. I mean, which is not maybe not be the part of my policy, but my manager gives me as an unannounced thing. Then probably something like this, if small things can be practiced over the period of time, they can manage the work-life balance. I'm sure this is not something which is very unique. Managers at times do ask for the people to please let me know what is your the year-long the planned leaves, so that they can manage the leaves of all the employees at the same point of time and they don't overlap, right? So the enabling factor is always from top to down. Managers has a lot of role to play in this, so that they ensure that they are not giving the last minute work to the people unless it is not important. They are not asking them to come over the weekend unless it is not important. They are not making a calls in their own personal space of an employee if it is not urgent. At the same point of time, they are trying to ensure that everything is sorted, the KRAs are being delivered, the employees are being productive, and they are happy at the same point of time, right? And I can understand with the managers also it becomes very exhausted, because it's very difficult to be a great people manager. That's what I always see, that we are always a good people manager, but what it takes to be a great people manager is always a few steps ahead. And with all this responsibility comes, I think something which drives from the top is always very helpful. So I think it is something which we practice as a part of our culture, which is very important.
तो जैसा कि आप बोल रहे हैं कि अगर कुछ अर्जेंट नहीं हो, तो जो आपने दो चीज़ बोली कि अगर कंपनी को वीकेंड पे ज़रूरत है और वीकेंड पे अगर एम्प्लॉय को आना पड़ रहा है तो मैनेजर उसको कॉम्प ऑफ दे। दूसरी चीज़ आपने बोली कि अगर उसके पर्सनल टाइम पे उसको रीच आउट तभी करे अगर कुछ अर्जेंट ना हो। तो एचआर इसमें क्या रोल प्ले कर सकता है और कैसे डिसाइड किया जाएगा कि जो मैनेजर है वो नॉन अर्जेंट काम के लिए उसको रीच आउट नहीं, क्योंकि आप मैनेजर से कभी पूछेंगे तो बोलेगा अर्जेंट था तभी मैंने उसको काम दिया या बुलाया या काम किया। तो एम्प्लॉय जैसे ईएनवाई के केस में हम जो देख रहे हैं, हमें क्लैरिटी नहीं है या अभी किसी को डिटेल में नहीं पता कि क्या एक्चुअली हुआ। वाज इट मतलब क्या सच में अर्जेंट काम था या हैरास किया जा रहा था वाकई किसी एम्प्लॉय को। तो एचआर इसमें क्या रोल प्ले कर सकता है, क्योंकि मैं बहुत सारे कमेंट उसमें देख रहा था और अलग अलग कमेंट थे कि भाई ऐसी कंपनीज में ऐसा ही होता है, आजकल ऐसा होता है, वहाँ पे कल्चर ऐसा है कि हार्ड वर्किंग के उसको बूस्ट किया जाता है। और फिर कुछ लोग कह रहे थे कि यार तो फिर एचआर क्या कर रहा था। तो एचआर को क्या करना चाहिए ऐसे केसेस में?
I guess, Vaibhav, I think it's very too vague and very too loose comment for someone to give कि HR क्या कर रहा था. People, unconsciously, put up the comments on the social media handle, on the professional networking groups कि HR क्या कर रहा था या manager क्या कर रहा था. I think, of course, the onus lies on the manager. At the same point of time, parallelly lies on the HR as well, some part of it. But I believe that वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस जो अगर मैनेजर इनकलकेट नहीं कर पा रहा है तो उसके पीछे भी कोई ना कोई there will be a lot of responsibilities to him, which is not easy thing to do, which I'm sure, right? अब HR कैसे इंश्योर करे कि वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस बना रहे? So of course the first and the foremost thing is how we start is we try to we try to enable our managers to to think beyond our management principles and maybe the workload, the work pressure, and think about the values what we have in place. So like for example, we have a value of practicing empathy. Are you practicing empathy? For example, how you're driving it. Again, giving examples that how you want to practice empathy by giving time off to your employee who might be working beyond their working hours, who might be working on weekends, right? This is not something the company will come and tell you to please do it. This is a value what we have in place and you need to practice it. So HR will make sure the people, managers at least understand what are the values what we are having in a place, which is as simple as having an integrity, right? As simple as, practicing empathy, as simple as being agile, being nimble, for example, right? How do they practice it? They practice it by ensuring that that is reflecting in their day-to-day work and their behavioral things, while they're communicating to their team or to the cross-function teams. We ensure we train them, we educate them, and then we keep a track. Because it's very important to not to leave something only with the people whom you are educating. You need to track them that are they actually practicing it or not. हमने लोगों को बताया, हमको बताया कि we have a values, please practice it. We done a lot of role play activities as well, okay, and they learned this thing, right? But are they actually doing it or not? So that's a part of the HR as well, right? While you ensure that they do something for the employees that you've been telling them to do, how by making them, educating them, by doing the role play, so whatever you're doing, but at the same point of time, you're keeping a track of it. Ultimately, it's an onus of an HR to ensure that the work-life balance is a very small thing is getting maintained, or at least if you cannot do it, then at least you have some kind of tracking mechanism which is going to help you in terms of highlighting to the management or to the stakeholders that this is not going right. I'm giving you a heads up. It's why sorry to understand in the case of EY such thing has happened. Maybe in the larger organization, maybe it becomes a little difficult to handle that. But I'm sure if in case we have some tracking mechanism in place which we are also responsible for, then the least what we can do is to prepare a data around it. It's a very simple thing. If your employees working on the weekends, we can get to know. If your employees are working overtime, doing overtime, punch in, punch out will give you all the data in hand. You have the data in hand, you figure out the gray areas, you present it to the board, and before it becomes too alarming, I think you do your job, and that's what the HR do. So I think this is very important for the HR to play such a role, because for to avoid the burnout cases, to avoid the people stating that we are mentally taxing working in such teams or such organization, or it becomes as bad as such a case what we have seen in EY.
ट्रू। तो ऐसे जैसे इंस्टाग्राम की रील्स में और मीम्स में दिखाया जाता है, तो ऐसे टॉक्सिक वाले बॉस या
जो टॉक्सिक वाले एचआर बोलने वाले
टॉक्सिक नहीं तो एचआर, भाई एचआर का बॉस एचआर ही होगा, एचआर बॉस सकते हैं ना। हाँ, तो टॉक्सिक वाले ऐसे बॉस आपने होते हैं, देखे हैं?
टॉक्सिक वाले बॉसेस होते हैं, इट्स नॉट न्यू। आई थिंक हमने अभी previously, without naming this, I think we have seen one of the 2 or more videos which have been circulating on the social media platforms, right, talking about on the video calls only, in the Teams calls only, managers are literally abusing the other ones, and what could be the more toxic things. And we have seen this with the organization as well, who have been certified to a great place to work, right? We have seen all those things are happening, right? So if you ask me, I myself experienced a way of not a toxic boss, but I used to think of him as a toxic boss. But then I realized after I completed my stint with him, that he is more of a taskmaster. It's very difficult to get aligned with the taskmaster. Why? Because he will expect something from you, right? Because he has a trust in you and the other factors as well. But at the same point of time, you need to deliver basis his requirement, which is very differentiate from the toxic boss. Toxic boss can do a micromanagement. He can be sitting on your head. He can be calling you n number of times. Taskmaster may not do it. He may say that this need to be done. Your efficiency to do it in a certain span of time, or to do it in a more analytic way, or to present it in your best format, is something which will come out as your part of a talent, right? So if you ask me, I've been at a stage of my career where I met a taskmaster, but with the God's grace, no toxic bosses so far.
और आपकी कंपनी में कभी आपका कोई स्टेक होल्डर हो जो ऐसा बॉस हो, आप देखते हो कि यार अपनी टीम का खून पी
हाँ, तो मैंने देखा है। मेरा HRBP का स्टint रहा है in my B2C setup before joining this organization has been with the sales people, and you can understand sales people are always demanding. So sales में एक famous terminology है कि जब मैं जाता था तो मुझसे बोलते थे कि boss, we are running at a speed of 180 kmph. How you are matching up with that speed? And that's a very important statement from a business to come, from our stakeholders, that that we are delivering we are actually putting in 100% so that we can deliver, as per the requirement of the businesses and the commitment what they have towards their business goals. How you are ensuring to make sure that we do 100% or maybe beyond 100% what you are doing as an HRBP for that matter. and becomes used to be a very tricky question because that is how it is. These stakeholders are very tough when you deal with them. Why? Because they have only and only numbers going on their mind. They think the people who are working for them, I mean, in their team, they are the ones who are the front runners and they have to go and get it. That's it. And they are commanding, they are getting it. That's how the relationship is being built. Now, being an HR VP, how you're ensuring there is a fine balance of, relationship is being maintained between a subordinate and a manager, between a stakeholder and -1, between a -1 and the down the line the team, and between the down the line team and the across front warriors what we have. How we are maintaining that fine balance so that the communication is very transparent, right? The stakeholders are going to be tough because that's a part of their job. How you're going to ensure that they mellow down? How are you going to ensure that they're going to have a cup of coffee with their down the line team member whom they think that these people are not reachable, these are very far off, but your role will play crucial in terms of bridging that gap. So there is no filter of communication, there is no grapevine which is happening, there is no unnecessary pressure which is pulling them down. I think the harmony to maintain among the team is to ensure that the top person to be with the person with the bottom of the pyramid at most of the time. So to manage a stakeholder, it's all about you deal with the toughness over the period of time. You go back to the business and you give them the logic. They understand and appreciate your logics, and then you build a rapport with them, and you build a rapport in such a way that it becomes a long-standing relationship with your stakeholder. So once you are able to establish that point, when you are claiming that I have a long-standing relationship with my stakeholder, then that means that you have done your job very fairly. And if it is not done, all the things get escalated to your boss.
ट्रू. सो बॉस के साइड से एक बार एम्प्लॉय साइड पे मूव होते हैं, तो नेगी जी आए थे जब पॉडकास्ट पे, तो उन्होंने कहा था कि मैं सबको ये बोलता हूँ कि 10 रुपए मिल रहे हो तो 100 रुपए का काम करो, एंड लुक फॉरवर्ड टू द ग्रोथ, एंड डोंट वैल्यू योरसेल्फ कि जो आपको पैसा मिल रहा है और जितना मिल रहा है तो मैं इतना ही काम करूँगा, ऐसे उनका कहना था. बट लेकिन मैं जैसा कि इससे पहले भी मैंने रेफरेंस दिया था सोशल मीडिया पोस्ट का, मैं इसलिए देता हूँ क्योंकि उससे थोड़ा लोगों की वॉइस पता चलती है क्या है. तो एक पोस्ट थी, उसमें लिखा हुआ था कि फॉर द फनी मीम कि चपरासी की सैलरी में सीईओ की टेंशन मत लो एंड लिव योर लाइफ, या उतना ही करो जितना तुमको सैलरी मिल रही है टाइप का. सो व्हाट इज योर व्यू ऑन दिस एंड व्हाट मैसेज यू वुड लाइक टू गिव टू पीपल हु आर जस्ट स्टार्टिंग आप? मुझे लगता है कि शायद 10 साल 15 साल 20 साल आप काम कर लो तो आप खुद ही बहुत एक्सपीरियंस हो जाता है घाट घाट के पानी से. बट somebody who is starting up, and I could see a lot of these messages. यहाँ पे एक तरफ हमने बात की कि वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है, बट एट द सेम टाइम आई कुड सी दीज मैसेजेस कि यार इतनी सैलरी मिल रही है और इतना टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो व्हाट इज योर मैसेज टू?
I think I guess if I'm not wrong, Vaibhav, me and you might have started a career 2 years up and down, right?
जी.
So there have been a lot of paradigm shift. If you see the kind of people whom we are dealing with now and the kind of people we were as employees, so there's a lot of a big gap is there in terms of perceiving and understanding an employee, right? एक मेम है, मेम किसने बनाया? मेम आपके जैसे मेरे जैसे लोगों ने नहीं बनाया. ऑफ कोर्स वी डोंट बिलीव इन दैट. मतलब हमारा शायद वो टेक्निकल स्किल सेट भी नहीं होगा वैसे मेम बनाने का, या फिर हम इतने क्रिएटिव होंगे भी नहीं, क्योंकि हम जिस ईरा से आ रहे हैं उस ईरा में ये सब चीजें होती नहीं थी, राइट? कौन बना रहा है? मे बी जेंजी बना रहे हैं. क्यों? जेंजी आर वेरी सोशल मीडिया फ्रेंडली, दे आर मे बी दे आर मोस्ट ऑफ टाइम ऑन द सोशल मीडिया, राइट? एंड उनको ये सबसे ज्यादा चीजें चुभती है आज की डेट पे. आप 14 साल पहले जाओगे अपने करियर पे और मैं जाऊंगा, तो जब हमने करियर स्टार्ट किया था तो हमें लगता था यार जॉब मिल गई, लेट्स स्टार्ट डू हार्ड वर्क. गोविंद जो यहाँ पे आके पॉडकास्ट में बोल के गए, आई थिंक इट्स अ वेरी फेयर थिंग, भाई, बिकॉज उन्होंने हमसे पहले करियर स्टार्ट किया होगा, उनको लगा होगा करियर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. उन्होंने जो वैल्यूज हमें सिखाई, और पीपल हु आर कमिंग अहेड इन देयर करियर स्पैन, दैट it is very important for us to ensure that we keep working and stretching ourselves. That's how we become a successful career professionals, right? And that's how it is. But do you think that the people at the current time they understand this? No. उनको लगता है यार सच में इतना ही पैसा मिलता है और काम हम CEO वाला करते हैं. Probably that is the fact. I think what Gen Z is doing is not very difficult to comprehend. But at the same point of time, are they doing it right? I'm not sure. Should they be working, stretching themselves, beyond their own capabilities, beyond their working hours? And it's very too vague to say that. Why? Because there are a lot of condemnation which happens, there are a lot of criticism which happens in between. I think the entire goals and the mind shift has changed completely. Now people look forward to maybe not earning like crores, but then maybe they are having a mental peace, which is very important to people. At our at our times, we used to think of getting a job and working very hard to no matter where it is leading to us, but at the same point of time, it is actually giving us a happiness. So I think जो definition है success का, that has changed over the period of time. Now people seek work-life balance. People seek mental peacefulness. People in Gen Z, maybe they don't want to take a lot of stress. They want more of recognition. They want more of something to come to them, and being asked. Being asked is something something very important. They want to be felt, and which I believe is not wrong. फिर उसके बाद आपको लगे यार आप इतना पैसा दे के काम इतना करवा रहे हो, तो विच आई थिंक यार शायद हमने गलत कर दिया, शायद जो हमारा कल्चर सिस्टम था वो गलत था. मे बी शायद ये जो लोग सोच रहे हैं, आई थिंक दे आर डूइंग अ फेयर थिंग, because if you see what is being practiced in the other countries, in the European markets or the MNCs for that matter, they have a fixed working hour cultures, they make it weekly paid, and they know how to have a fine work life balance. I think we should be transitioning to that now, and Gen Z is actually craving for it, they are asking for it, and they are valid towards it. I think what we have done, maybe we need to have a change in that. So that is, I really believe.
True. So now we'll move to the question of getting people ready for the job and job interview, which is the core purpose of TrueCV. We help people in getting ready for the job, be it with skilling, resume writing, interview preparation, and to help them about the industry और जो बातें हम अभी of course कर रहे थे. So अगर हम बात करें किसी एक ऐसी स्किल की, because you've been into different industry, retail, media, B2B, B2C. Yes. So सबकी technical question जो है वो अलग होते होंगे, और
depending on the rule. Yes.
Depending on the industry and the rule. But what is the one question which you almost ask with everyone, no matter कौन सी इंडस्ट्री का बंदा है? हो सकता है पोजीशन वाइज थोड़ा डिफरेंस होता होगा, लेकिन हम मे बी अगर स्टार्टिंग टू मिड वाले टाइप में अगर हम बात करें, तो ऐसा कौन सा क्वेश्चन है कि आप जरूर पूछते हो?
I think most cliched question for any person who is taking an interview and from the HR standpoint of view is very important to understand why you are switching over from wherever you're working right now, from your current organization to this organization. I think for an HR, it is very important to understand someone's perspective to come and join your organization, because अगर आपको perspective समझ में आता है, तो आपको ये समझ में आता है कि this person is aligned to some kind of behavior, which is being part of his perspective, and that behavior is aligning to our values or not. What HRs do, they don't do functional assessment. Maybe they do functional filtration, but they are not expertise in functional assessment. What we are expert in, we do the lot of behavioral assessment of the people, and we have our own way of assessing people when it comes to behavioral assessment. So we try to see and understand that that with one question, that why you would like to have a switch over from this company to that company. So people may come and say that they are switching for the money, which is very dead honest answer, and which cannot be the case. Yes, of course, I'm switching for money. Some people are giving very vague answers that I'm switching, because I'm not feeling, that I can have a career growth in this company. Maybe they are coming with a 6 months span of time, and they are feeling already with the 6 months that कि यहाँ पे कोई career growth है ही नहीं. So boss, how can I tell you that you have a career growth over here if you cannot have this kind of feeling with your current organization where you are working only for 6 months, right? So people also come with such a vague answers, right? So when you know that after a certain point of time, when you are practicing client acquisition, you meet a lot of people, you interview a lot of people, and then one question is always on the tip of your tongue, that why you are leaving the company. And when you have the answers with you, each and every answer gives a lot of perspective of a person. This is my personal assessment. So I feel that why you're switching from one company to another company is something very cliched, and something which is more sought after answer, and this is what we practice because it gives a lot of perspective of a candidate.
ठीक है, सो आपको लगता है why are you looking for a change or why you want to join us is the question which you generally
I
ask.
generally try to fetch out the answers between that.
अच्छा, और what should be the right answer to it? तो आपने इसका क्या सही जवाब
So
आपके हिसाब से क्या लगता
there
है?
is no right answer to it. People can have a smart answers to it. People can have a very vague answer to it. People can have a very blunt
नहीं तो
answer
स्मार्ट
to it.
आंसर क्या है इसका?
I
आपको
think
आपको
जो
आपको
smart
क्या सुनना
answer
होता है?
जो मुझे अगर सुनने को मिला है, which is not very often. I think smart जो often answer मिलता है, लोग people are switching for personal growth and for their professional growth and for the incremental part, which is monetary incremental part. The smart answer could be that what I've also came across from the people that they really want to switch the company because they would be wanting to have the work-life balance, which is a very honest answer, which people don't get from their current companies. Which is maybe on the basis that that what we are doing as a brand in the company, and as I was talking about the employer branding, what we are doing as a brand, which is actually getting highlighted among the competition and among the people who are working in that competition. So maybe we want to be the part of that. What we might be doing as a is a USP to us, it's a differentiator. Maybe we're not feeling it. So what do you think? Maybe for two giant companies in some industry, we're having everything in terms of pay equality, the diversification. They have everything to offer to them. But why would still the two giants will be having interchange of employees switching from this company to another to this, right? Probably they have something to offer which the other company may not have to offer, and that is something as a differentiator. And people feel it कि यार पैसा तो मिल रहा है, चल ठीक है, work life balance भी है, but maybe they are offering something which my current company doesn't offer, which can not necessarily has to be with the monetary terms, which can be something which is recognition or may not be recognition, which can be very small things that they are doing. So I feel that Vaibhav, when employee thinks of switching over, they think from a perspective which is 360 degree perspective. But I always say and believe that that when the employee is connected to the organization, they need to be more intellectually connected. Maybe we are offering as an organization a few upskilling programs, to ensure that my people are upskilled all the time. So maybe we are also connecting them emotionally. Maybe we are connecting them mentally as well. So we do that. Maybe as a word of mouth gets spread over, and that's how people find it differentiating. And that's why people say that we are switching for some genuine reasons which your company has to offer.
Okay. And what do you think is the low cost or no cost strategy that you have found most effective to retain employee?
I think so. This question can have an extension from an answer which I was giving you previously. I think what I believe जो हमने आज तक practice किया और सोचा experiment है. I think if I'll give you a classic example, at the time of COVID, when everything was going down completely, the companies were struggling to maintain the OPEX, right? And forget about having an organization sustained. We were trying to see that how we could disperse the salaries. At the same point of time, the HR was playing a pivotal role to understand that employees are working at their remote locations. This is the first time which is happening. Employees are working from their office. How are they going to maintain that? How we are going to make sure that employees stays engaged with us? I think that was a core for HR at that point of time. I think worldwide everybody has faced that thing. So what we have analyzed and realized that employees need to be more intellectually and emotionally connected with the organizations, right? So for example, we realize that what we deliver is not only the trainings which are available in the world. There are lot many open source education which is available in the world, which we are not using it. If I want to ensure that my employees stay connected with my organization even at the distress time or maybe even a final time, I need to make sure that I engage him. Now I can also engage him when he's not working with me in the on-site, maybe he's working remotely, or maybe whatever is the work status. If I have to make sure that he keeps engaged with us, I need to find these engagement areas, and it cannot be just engagement activity what we do in the office and we call it an engagement. Maybe we are making them glued to our organization by offering them programs which are part of their which going to be the part of their professional journey, which are going to upskill them or reskill them, let's say it, and we're going to offer to them, and we're going to make sure that they learn it. So intellectually engaging employees is very important, because they sometimes employees working in the organization for a longer time, they don't realize that this is something which the another XYZ person is doing it more finely and more productively in another organization. Maybe this skill set I'm missing. तो वो skill set को fill करने के लिए I'll as an HR will play a role, and I'll make sure that employees getting intellectually engaged by offering, by telling them, by assessing and identifying, and see that what are the skill set our people is lacking or any individual is lacking, and then offering them the programs which are available, for example, on the open source, or maybe what we can make and deliver to them. That's how the intellectual engagement, what we can do at a very low cost. Because if I tell you, the lot of the open source educations are actually coming for free, right? The second thing is what we have realized over the period of time, that employees need to be emotionally engaged as well, right? So while I say that it is very important, because when you leave the company, it is not your own decision. When you leave the company, I think you also consult your mentors, your ex-colleagues, or maybe your family members also have to play a very bigger role in that, right? So touching that as a point, what you feel that employees, families need to be engaged so that they remain engaged with us. So we extend our arms. We do a lot many things. We run a junior talent contest, which is for the kids of the employees, right? We often we have tried as a practice that whenever the employees are getting a appraisal letter, the ones who are getting promotions, we going and visiting their house with a cake in front of their parents and giving them bouquet and telling them that your son has been recognized, or maybe he has been promoted this year in our company because basis of his being very productive and a good appraisal rating. So this has given a lot of emotional attachment to the family members. This is another level of engagement what we are doing, right? So we, in a nutshell, we try to engage with employees at a multiple levels, not only when we are in office. I mean, we do office celebrations, we do every festive celebration, we do fun do Fridays, we do potlucks, we do XYZ things, but we don't wait for occasions to come and happen to us. We may do annual day, we may do sports day. This is a peripheries of life which is going to happen anyway. But is it the only way how you're going to engage with employees? I think the time has come when we need to think beyond our cliched or very notion way of thinking. I think we need to go beyond and engage the employees at multiple levels. So this is how we practice.
थैंक यू जी फॉर एक्सप्लेनिंग इट सो वेल. जब आप बोल रहे थे, मैं 2-3 पॉइंट्स मैंने नोट किए हैं जिस पे हम एक एक करके बात करेंगे. तो एक तो आपने बोला, आपने मेंटर वर्ड यूज किया था, आपने रिमोट वर्क के बारे में बात की थी, और अपस्किलिंग के बारे में आपने काफी बात की थी. सो एज अ ट्रू सीवी, जैसे हमने बताया कि हम भी बहुत ज्यादा अपस्किलिंग के लिए हेल्प करते हैं, एंड वी हैव सर्टेन प्रोजेक्ट्स आल्सो जो इससे पहले हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे.
Correct.
Help people to skill and get them ready for job. What is the one skill you think right now, अगर कोई फ्रेशर है जिसने कोई भी बेसिक क्वालिफिकेशन की है, जैसे ग्रेजुएट है, मतलब अगर बीटेक है, उसने कंप्यूटर साइंस से किया है, तो उसको समझ में आता है कि उसको कहाँ जाके क्या करना है. लेकिन अगर कोई बीए ऑनर्स है, बीकॉम ऑनर्स है, और भी बीबी है, बहुत सारे ऐसे कोर्सेज हैं जिसके बाद मुझे लगता है कि एक स्किल की जरूरत होती है, स्किल की जरूरत होती है टू गेट इनटू जॉब. सो आज के टाइम पे आप 2-3 का भी नाम दे सकते हैं, बट व्हाट इज दैट वन स्किल व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड पीपल शुड अपस्किल देमसेल्फ इनटू दैट व्हाइल वर्किंग आल्सो. आप ये भी बोल सकते हैं कि कोई ऑलरेडी काम कर रहा है, वो भी खुद को अपस्किल करके अच्छी जॉब ले सकता है.
तो वैभव, मतलब हम कैंपसेस में जाते हैं, इंटरव्यू करते हैं, फ्रेशर्स का इंटरव्यू करते हैं, मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनिंग्स का इंटरव्यू करते हैं, एंड देयर आर लॉट मेनी पीपल व्हाट वी रिक्वायर हु मे बी कमिंग अप विद 1 or 2 years of experience. So maybe they are the early stage of their careers, right? I mean, आप क्या असेस कर लोगे? फंक्शनल असेसमेंट देख लोगे, आप फ्रेशर्स हैं, मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनिंग्स हैं, कितना फंक्शनल असेसमेंट करोगे? आप ऑन द जॉब ट्रेनिंग कराओगे, तभी ऑन द जॉब लर्निंग्स होंगी, स्किल सेट डेवलप होगा. सो देयर इज नो मच लार्जर स्कोप टू असेस देम ऑन द फंक्शनल थिंग्स, राइट? फिर उसके बाद क्या बचा? उसके बाद बचा कि बट यू कैन प्रोबेबली अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम अ स्किल सेट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू व्हाट इज योर लीस्ट एक्सपेक्टेशन. सो इफ आई से दैट आई मीट समवन हु इज एज फ्रेशर or maybe a management trainee, I will expect them for the least, the one thing they need to have are presentation skills, and presentation skills is not an easy thing. I'll tell you why, because people who are working in the organization, they may not have presentation skills. And when I say presentation skills, it's not a technical PPT skills we need to have, on the computers. I think presentation skills, how you present yourself in front of in front of a interviewer, in front of a hiring manager. It is sounds very easy, but I tell you, people are not able to do it properly, right? How you, when you are presenting yourself in front of a a hiring manager, what all you need to ensure that he is taking away something from you. It's very simple. Somebody is walking in, the way they are walking in, how they are dressed up, are they clean shape? Very small things. What is their body posture? What is their body language? How they are sitting? How they are talking? Everything starting from their appearance, and the moment they start speaking, everything is about presentation. What kind of resume you are presenting? Is it crumbled? Is it in a single page? Is it in a 3-page? What kind of formatting you have used? What kind of words you have used? How well? So your brand image is your presentation. How you present yourself is very important. And for the people who are coming from the management training background, or maybe freshers, or maybe from some other institutes, the one and the only thing, if you ask me, I expect them to be presentable. Having a decent presentation skills, not very over exhibited, but decent presentation is very important, because that's how you are going to be the future brand ambassadors of the company. You are the image of the company, right?
Sure.
So you need to be presentable from the way how you project yourself, from the way how you portray yourself as a person, as a professional, everything putting together, right? And the second thing comes that for me, which is very important to understand, that how their personal values in their lives are being aligned with my organizational values, right? Are they having some kind of alignment or not, right? I think most of the time we end up doing a wrong hiring. Why? Because we try to understand a person from their functional competencies, which is equally important. Because every time a recruiter faces a challenge from a hiring manager that we need to have a person boss, he is not fitting into us. I say that let us say that out of 10 competencies, what we need to have in a person, we are just filling with 5 competencies. So does that make any candidate any less desirable to be the part of our organization? I would say no. Why? Because might you have someone who is 10 on 10 in terms of competencies, but his behaviors are not aligned as per our way of functioning. He cannot be culturally fit to our organization, right? Maybe because he has some tendencies which is like working in silos, maybe like a one-man army, but we work in a very cohesive way. He can do his job finely, but he cannot be able to take up some team project together, and there he will falter. I'll not hire that person, right? And it is very important that all the behavioral alignments need to be, as per the protocols of the organization, as per the value and belief system what we have. Most importantly, what culture what we have. The person is fitting into that culture is more important. I think, and the HR professionals keep on saying that let's hire a person for their behavior and attitude, and we can still train them for the skills, right? I mean, let's hire them for the best behavior and best attitude. So I think that should be the basis of all the hirings, whether it's a front line or maybe it's on a middle line.
नहीं, सही कहा आपने. मुझे लगता है कि वो प्रेजेंटेशन और वो जो छोटी-छोटी चीजें हैं, ग्रूमिंग और दैट्स द होल पर्पस.
That's the whole purpose
ऑफ TrueCV जो हम काम कर रहे हैं, और इंटरव्यू प्रिपरेशन के में आपके जैसे सीनियर HR सेशन लेते हैं और यही सारी बातें बताते हैं कि हो सकता है उसने बीटेक या MBA या कोई कोर्स कर रखा हो, बट खुद को कैसे प्रेजेंट करना है, वो आना बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है. तो वो इंटरव्यू प्रिपरेशन सेशन का होल पर्पस ही वो रहता है. सो आई 100% एग्री, एंड आई थिंक इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर पर्सन टू बी रेडी फॉर द जॉब इंटरव्यू. और तो दूसरी चीज मैं आपसे पूछ रहा था, जो मेंटर वाली आपने बात की कि लाइफ में, करियर में हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट इज a mentor.
I think this is being a very sensitive thing to me, if I'll tell you, right? Because I used to feel at a point of time that I've not been mentored well, I've not been guided. If I give you my example, so my father has been into police services for entire his life. He's a retired IPS officer. तो उनके पास महकमे के बंदे हैं, वो क्या बताएंगे आपको क्या करेंगे, राइट? अब आप 19 साल के हो, आपको ये नहीं पता आपको MBA करनी है तो क्या लेना है, क्या नहीं लेना है, MBA भी करनी है नहीं करनी, यू डोंट नो. ये तो ग्राफिक डिजाइनिंग, एनिमेशन, ऑल दैट इज अ वेरी फैंसी थिंग्स व्हिच हैज जस्ट केम अप. तब तो बहुत जो नॉर्मल सब्जेक्ट्स होते थे हमें वही चूज करने होते थे, राइट? आपने कॉमर्स लिया तो आप क्या कहते हैं उसमें जाएंगे, सीए सीएस, या फिर उसमें जाएंगे। एमबीए में अगर आपने साइंस लिया तो ऑब्वियसली इंजीनियर्स, डॉक्टर, व्हाटएवर, राइट? तो mentoring is very important because you don't have anyone to guide you. मैंने अपने लाइफ में रियलाइज किया कि when I told you towards the beginning of this session today that the HI something happened to me. It is actually happened to me. Why? Because now at the point of this juncture of my professional career, I think यार मैं एक अच्छा सेल्स पर्सन बन सकता था। मैं तो बोलता अच्छा हूँ, मैं कन्विंसिंग स्किल्स भी ठीक ठाक है, मुझे लगता है मैं ज्यादा लीड्स कन्वर्ट कर लेता था। This could have been possible, job for me, but I think that I'm no, now I don't think that I'm in a wrong job, but I think sales could have been a better profession. But किसने बताया मेरे को? किसी ने नहीं बताया। जब मैंने HR choose किया, so I met this some top shot from a very good IT company, at that point of time, and this guy, told me on my face कि जी बेटा तो हमारा HR सोचा है, सर बताइए, कुछ प्रकाश डालिए। अरे सर, HR तो लेडीज वाला जॉब है ना, एंड ही वाज अ टॉप शॉट ऑफ दैट कंपनी, जस्ट इमेजिन। तो ही वाज राइट रॉन्ग आई डोंट नो, बट देन एट द सेम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम आई डिड नॉट टेक अवे एनीथिंग। सो आई थिंक एक जो मेंटर वाला पॉइंट है ना वैभव, आई थिंक in our lives, especially during the at that stage of our careers, when we are about to start our careers, and wanted to take any specific field or vertical to start our careers, it is very important to have someone in your life who can guide you, who can give you the exposure, and who can tell you about the fields, who can give you options and can tell you that you can explore this. I think the alignment of of your hobbies, or maybe the things what you want to do in life, if they get aligned with the job, then I think you become successful in that, right? The half of the problem what we face is that what we are doing, we are not happy with that. Why? Because we think we could have done something else very better, and that's why we say that maybe we're in a wrong jobs. But then now after 10 years down the line, you're already in a job, you cannot take a U-turn. It will be disastrous for you. Why? Because I cannot take it, maybe because of the financial constraint it will come with. Maybe I have to unlearn lot many things and start developing my skill set and learn a lot of things. All starting from scratch is a very risky thing. People don't tend to do that often, but people are doing it now, what I see. But at the same point of time, they are realizing it now after 10 years, or maybe let's say 5 years down the line. But the people, I guess, they need to have a serious mentor who can actually educate them, help them understanding what kind of options we have available in the market, and most importantly, help them realize that basis your own your own personal talent, what you have, how you can align that factor with the work what you wanted to do, and that becomes your aspiration. And once it becomes your aspiration, you become successful. Why? Because you're loving it. If you're not loving it, you're at least liking it what you're doing, and that is more important. The moment you start liking it, the more your job becomes less transactional. And if it is more transactional, then we all are working like a donkeys in that case. If it is more about achieving something, then it has to be aligned in a way which keeps you motivated and it keeps you going. So that kind of guidance can only come from a mentor, and finding a right mentor for everyone who is starting their career is very important. Otherwise, the wrong advice or maybe a wrong chapter to a life, starting in a wrong chapter to a life can prove disastrous.
बिल्कुल 100% एग्री. इफ यू कैन गेट अ मेंटर अर्ली इन योर लाइफ,
Yeah,
उससे अच्छा तो कुछ भी नहीं हो
उससे अच्छा
सकता.
कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता.
ड्यूरिंग द जर्नी ऑल्सो वी ऑल नीड मेंटर टू ग्रो एंड गाइड अस. कई बार
True.
मुझे लगता है सिर्फ एक कॉल करके कोई यही बताने वाला कि यहाँ से ऑफर मिला है, ज्वाइन करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. बहुत सारे डिसीजंस ऐसे होते हैं जो अगर कोई इंडस्ट्री में, मतलब एज अ फाउंडर, आई थिंक वी आर वेरी डिपेंडेंट ऑन आवर network and people who
True,
are
true.
already into the game.
Yeah.
And we always look for some mentors who can guide us,
True.
कि जिन्होंने पहले
True.
ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रखी हो, और शायद हम 10 जगह सर मारें, उससे अच्छा है कि वो हमें बता दें और गाइड कर दें, and we would be able to save that time.
Yeah.
So coming back on the third point जो हम कह रहे थे कि आपने जिक्र किया था वर्क फ्रॉम होम का, और बहुत सारे लोग, अब तो मुझे लगता है लगभग सारी कंपनियां ऑफिस बुला रही हैं, बट देयर आर फ्यू एमएनसीज स्टिल they are asking their people and giving the option if they want to work from home, they can do. और सोशल मीडिया पे और ऑनलाइन पे मैं डिबेट देखते रहता हूँ कि जो काम मैं घर पे बैठ के कर सकता हूँ उसके लिए 4 घंटे ट्रैवल करके ऑफिस क्यों कंपनी बुला रही है. तो आपका इस पे क्या व्यू है, वर्क फ्रॉम होम और वर्क फ्रॉम ऑफिस?
I think it's a fair ask to ask someone to come to office. From an employer side, if I have to say, I think it's actually a fair ask for someone from the from the employer side to please come and join from office, because that's how office setups are supposed to work. Maybe you can say it's a very traditional way of approaching it or saying it, but that's how we have been designed. I mean, when we say that we want to build a cohesive system, even when we say that we want to build a cultural ecosystem, right? How can this be possible when we don't have employees in place? I mean, is it true that people are actually trying to build up something called culture over being working virtually altogether? I've seen the offices which are completely now have moved on from office spaces to a virtual spaces completely, right? But then they might be the organizations who have built up these strong teams, managers, and their employees would still be aligned to the company culture, whether they are working from on-site, off-site, whatever suits them, right? That might be working for those organizations. Maybe they're too mature organizations, but how many organizations are actually there who have become too mature-ish, right? I think working from home is, with that example that you gave me, that यार 4 घंटे आने जाने में स्पेंड करूँ, उससे चलो मैं प्रोडक्टिव हो जाऊंगा, बट क्या मैं ऑफिस में और घर पे जाके प्रोडक्टिव हो रहा हूँ? दैट इज अ क्वेश्चन मार्क. बट अगर चलो मैं प्रोडक्टिव हो भी रहा हूँ, बट इज इट हेल्दी फॉर मी? मतलब do you think that you can actually define a time that you want to spend with your family and define a time that when you want to work? You can take there's no harm in taking a small nap, which is also okay, right? But are you really doing a justice to your job? Let us forget that. Are we saying that there are two kind of lives what we live? We have been living that kind of life all our so far all our careers, right? One is office life, one is your personal life with your family, and one with your office colleagues. We have been made and set up in such a way that how we feel that what we are learning in the office is my professional life, it's helping me grow. We always live in two lives, right? I mean, our family is giving us a personal time. We are feeling more emotionally attached to them. Our office is giving us professional, goals. We are upscaling ourselves. We have a different culture in office. We are learning that, right? At home, we have a different culture. So we are parallelly running two lives. Now, what lives we are running? We are running only one life. I feel working from home makes you feel off touch completely from the office. It's giving you one life. Your one life is that kind of life which you're learning, may not be learning. You are happy, you may not be happy, but आपको ये लग रहा है कि this is the stuff I have to do and complete at the end of the day. Why? Because I'm getting paid. You cannot inculcate those happiness quotient, emotional quotient, those cultural things what we talk about loudly while the people are away. I think having a presence in the space when all people come together and meet and sit and talk and create happiness, have that bonding, I think there's nothing like that. And I'm still a big fan of it. Why? Because I think 4 घंटे लगते हैं, बट यार जो ऑफिस जाके मतलब बॉस की गाली खानी है, बट अगर मैं इतना मोटिवेटेड हूँ कि मेरे को सबको देख के अच्छा मिलता है, मेरे को अच्छा लगता है, बात करना अच्छा लगता है, और मेरे को काम करने में ऑफिस में ही मजा लगता है, तो मेरे को ऑफिस ही आऊंगा मैं. सो आई एम दैट काइंड ऑफ पर्सन हु मेरे को घर पे काम नहीं होगा, राइट? फिर बट देन इट डिपेंड्स ऑन एवरीबॉडीज रिक्वायरमेंट. बट आई स्टिल बिलीव दैट वर्किंग फ्रॉम होम is only feasible in the coming times that for those people, and I feel sorry when I say this, that those roles can become non-essential. That kind of workforce may become non-essential over the period of time. Why? Because we still believe the fact that from the corporates that people who are in the office are the ones who are working. That kind of mindset what we are living in. So that's how I feel.
थैंक यू अंकित जी हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए और अपने व्यूज शेयर करने के लिए. एक आखिरी सवाल के साथ इस डिस्कशन को लाइक टू एंड. खैर अभी बात करने को बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, अगर हम बात करते रहे पता नहीं चला 1 घंटे से ज्यादा हो गया, more than an hour. So what a person should expect in terms of culture and growth when the person joins your organization, Space World?
So I think when a person would be wanting to join our organization, if I have to put it into a small sweet words, I think they should expect the inclusiveness. What we practice and preach is that that we need to make sure that the people feel included. It's very easy to say but very difficult to preach. We ensure that employees need to feel included, they need to feel welcome, and they need to be feeling they need to feel that they are part of this organization. By each and everything what we do, my people need to be feel included at multiple times. Whatever we are doing, small things to bigger things, they need to be feel that they are part of this organization, including the ones who are joining us recently and the ones who are already there for a long time, right? The second thing what I feel and what we also practice at the same point of time, that that all these people who are working with us, they feel that they belong to the organization, and the entire thing is top to down is transparent. So everything what management is thinking is already there with you, right? I mean, it's a top to down approach, it's very transparent, there is no communication which is filtered. We have open door policy, people can walk into the the stakeholders room and they can discuss their ideas, they can talk about the things that they think are relevant or maybe useful to our organization to grow. They can come and discuss what they can also expect at the same point of time, that we as an organization believe in a lot of cohesiveness, right? What we are building up, we are not building organizations, we are building teams, and teams are building organizations at the end of the day. So we are practicing that we are building a strong teams, and for that we are practicing a lot of cohesiveness. Okay, and as I was saying that having a great people manager is very much required in the organization, because the people manager at the middle level ensures that the team remain cohesiveness. So if anybody who is working with us, or they can come and tell this, or whosoever looks forward to join this Spacework group or any one of our entities, they can expect the fact that we are building a teams, and you can feel included, you can feel belonged, and you can feel that this is an organization where I can be talking about anything to anyone for that matter. So that kind of trust what we are building.
Awesome sir, thank you so much for your time. बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके.
Thank you for having me over here.
Thank you for sharing your views. I am very sure viewers को बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला होगा, और भी अगर आपसे संपर्क करना चाहते हैं, या अगर they can reach out to on your LinkedIn, they can
Yes,
get
of
on
course.
to TrueCV, and we help people to get a mentor like Mr. Ankit ji. And हमारी कोशिश यही रहती है that we can help the newcomers, fresher, and people early in the journey to get them ready for job.
Sure. Looking forward to it. How many people? I think with this medium, if I can help and guide someone who is looking forward to be connecting with me, I think it will be more than privilege to help those people. I think जो भी मेरे साथ जुड़ना चाहता है, while LinkedIn is one of the sources, it's open source. People can come, connect, they can talk about, and obviously whatever help I can extend from my end, I'll do that.
Thank you sir.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
धन्यवाद दोस्तों हमारे साथ जुड़े रहने के लिए. अगर आपको ये एपिसोड पसंद आया है तो प्लीज लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब टू अवर चैनल फॉर मोर सच इंफॉर्मेटिव वीडियोस, एंड कमेंट में हमें बताइए कि आप नेक्स्ट किस फील्ड के एक्सपर्ट या एचआर से मिलना चाहेंगे. ऑल्सो डू शेयर दिस वीडियो विद योर फ्रेंड्स एंड जॉब ग्रुप्स टू हेल्प अदर्स. हम मिलेंगे आपसे अगले एपिसोड में. तब तक के लिए टेक केयर एंड ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर योर इंटरव्यू.